Translator. Editor? Kurishu? She moved like a bolt of heavenly lightning, so swift that even the naked eye could scarcely follow her trace. At the very least, to warriors of the spiritual infant tier, capturing such speed was exceedingly difficult. Yang Yingxi had only just stepped into the spiritual infant tier, and moreover, who would ever guard themselves against a mere 7 or 8-year-old little girl? She spared not the slightest vigilance toward Hunyu. All she sensed was a blur flashing before her vision, and in that instant, Hunyu had already surged to her front. A cry of "not good" rang within her heart. She still intended to leap backward to evade, yet Hunyu had already launched a punch, her small fist crashing upward into Yang Yingxi's chin. Ping! Yang Yingxi was blasted into the air. The horrifying force struck her full on, knocking her completely senseless. A crisp, shattering snap of bone echoed. Bereft of Origin Power's protection, the physique of a spiritual infant tier cultivator was shockingly fragile. Her head was cleanly knocked off by Hunyu. Yang Yingxi regained consciousness in that very instant. As her eyes flew open, terror flooded her face, while her headless body plummeted downward. Hunyu touched down upon the earth and, with casual ease, flicked her hand and tossed the severed head aside. Yang Yingxi's body frantically stumbled after it, blood spraying wildly from the broken neck. Yet after rushing a mere 10 paces, she collapsed abruptly to the ground. Her limbs twitched several more times before falling utterly still. A dignified spiritual infant tier expert had her head torn away by a little girl and perished on the spot. The entire scene sank into utter silence. Qin Lianyu, He Yunlan, Chou Zifei, and the others all knew who knew. They had even shared meals with her. Yet at this moment, their legs trembled uncontrollably, and they felt on the verge of fainting. This little girl was simply too terrifying. Qin Lianyu recalled how earlier the little girl, clearly out of sorts, had asked Linghan whether she could kill her. At the time, it had sounded like nothing more than childish jest. But now, looking upon the scene before her, it was evident that the girl had been entirely serious. Without realizing it, she had brushed past death's gate itself. Cold sweat soaked her back as a bone-deep chill crept through her body. Ah! Hu Qingfang and Yang Yingyun finally snapped back to their senses and hurriedly scrambled into the carriage. Go, go! He urged the 4 beautiful women to drive the carriage away at once. Dare to kill the cute Nunu? Nu's angry. Hunyu gave chase. She became a streak of lightning and, in a flash, appeared above the carriage, smashing down with her fist. Wang. A curtain of light unfurled, intercepting her blow. After all, this was the power of the spiritual infant tier. While the little girl stood only at the high stage of the flower blossom tier, her fists could not shatter it. Hu Qingfang gradually recovered from his shock and roared with harsh laughter. Ha ha ha! Come, come! Want to kill this young master? Cultivate another 1,000, 10,000 years first. Hunyu erupted in fury, opening her tiny mouth and biting fiercely into the light screen. Kacha! Kacha! Even the light screen could not endure the bite of Hunyu's teeth and shattered instantly. Yet it was fueled by Origin Power. The broken screen was immediately restored, as though racing against Hunyu's destruction. Within a short span, both sides appeared evenly matched. Hu Qingfang's soul nearly left his body in fright once more. He hastily shouted again, "Go, go!" The 4 beautiful women urgently spurred the carriage onward, accelerating toward the heavens. Shoo, the carriage swiftly vanished beyond the horizon. Qin Lianyu and the others remained rooted in place, stunned beyond measure. The shock they had endured was simply too immense. After a long while, another flash of lightning streaked across the sky as Hunyu returned. She pouted, planting her hands upon her hips, and complained, "No fun." They ran away. You were already fearsome enough, slaying a spiritual infant tier expert with a single strike and tearing apart a spiritual infant tier barrier with a single bite. If word of this spread, the entire world would tremble. At this moment, everyone gazed upon Hunyu as if an alarm bell had just tolled. Their eyes no longer held the slightest trace of disdain. This was a tiny devil, one capable of ending their lives. After fighting, Nu's hungry. Hunyu clung to Linghan and wheedled, "Can Nu eat another piece of meat?" "No, you've already eaten enough today." Linghan shook his head, resolute in refusal. "Just one more small piece. Only a small piece." Hunyu pleaded coquettishly. "No means no. Ling Han remained firm. Stingy news going bad. Hu Nu puffed her cheeks in anger. Cold sweat drenched everyone present on Ling Han's behalf. This was a little devil who had torn off the head of a spiritual infant-tier expert, and yet he dared to defy her? Was he not afraid she would lose her temper and twist off his neck to use as a wine cup? Yet to their astonishment, Hu Nu did not erupt in rage. After a brief pout, she glued herself once more to Ling Han, pleading pitifully. In the end, when she received a piece of dried meat, she was incomparably delighted. This was simply unbelievable. They were deeply moved. So this little girl was merely a glutton, someone who could be won over with food. If they could abduct this little girl, who already possessed the power to kill low-stage spiritual infant-tier opponents, then how terrifying would she become in her teens or 20s? Profit. They hurriedly produced dried meat to entice Hu Nu, inwardly ridiculing Ling Han as a fool. With such a formidable subordinate, one should naturally win her favor properly, yet he begrudged even a few pieces of meat. Had he never heard the saying, "If you don't part with the child, you can't catch the wolf"? This was not truly giving up one's child, merely a few morsels of meat. However, none of them could sway Hu Nu. Instead, they were all kicked sprawling to the ground. If not for her restrained killing intent, she would surely have wiped them out for disturbing her. Qin Lian Yu's beautiful eyes settled upon Ling Han. She recalled how earlier Yang Yingyun had inexplicably staggered again and again, an impossible occurrence for an expert. Now, combined with Hu Nu's monstrous display, a bold conjecture surfaced within her mind. Could it be that Ling Han himself possessed terrifying strength, capable of commanding this ferocious little girl? Ugly person, staring at Nu's Ling Han. You're plotting something bad, right? Hu Nu suddenly appeared before Qin Lian Yu. Her small face was filled with vigilance. She absolutely could not be careless, for there were always people harboring designs upon her Ling Han. Qin Lian Yu paid little heed and assumed the child had merely mispronounced Ling Han's name. With a faint smile, she asked, Nu, where is Sister Ugly?" "Everywhere ugly," Hu Nu declared sternly, then pointed at Zhu. "Not even prettier than that ugly monster. So where aren't you ugly?" Qin Lian Yu could not help but smile. Her beauty surpassed Zhu by countless degrees, yet she would never voice such a thing. Instead, she simply inquired, Nu, is your Ling Yun very formidable?" "Of course, as formidable as Nu," Hu Nu answered at once, her face brimming with pride. "Oh!" Qin Lian Yu's beautiful eyes shone brightly. She had long known that Ling Han was far from ordinary. Translator, Redditor, Kurisu. The company once more set foot upon the road, dust rising faintly beneath their steps. After that episode, not a single person dared utter another word of mockery toward Ling Han. It was not Ling Han they feared, but Hu Nu. This little lass clung to him like a shadow to form. Whoever dared speak ill of Ling Han would first have to consider whether they wished to be battered senseless by that tiny fist. This girl was no innocent child, but a fiend in human skin, merciless once killing intent stirred. Yet in their hearts, envy churned all the more fiercely. Ling Han basked beneath such protection. Why should it be him? None among them felt the least bit reconciled. They traveled 2 more days, hooves and wheels cutting through the wilds, when once again they were overtaken. It was still Hu Qingfang. Even Ling Han could not help but feel a trace of admiration. Just how fearless of death was this fellow, to flee twice and yet dare return again? No, rather, just how enslaved by lust was he, that his mind remained ever fixed upon Qin Lian Yue. Ha! This young master has returned once more. The same carriage rolled forward, drawn and guided by the same 4 ravishing maidens. Only this time, no decadent moans drifted from within its curtain depths. "Would you like applause?" Ling Han asked lightly, a smile playing at his lips. "Applause? Even if you all kneel and kowtow, don't think you'll leave here alive." Hu Qingfang's voice rang out sharply. The carriage door swung open, and he stepped forth side by side with an elderly man. Ling Han's expression shifted in exaggerated horror as he exclaimed, "Who would have thought the Winter Moon sect not only revels in lechery, but in lifting shirts as well? I can scarcely bear to look at you, filthy, truly too filthy. Utter nonsense!" Hu Qingfang leapt down in haste. The Winter Moon sect held no reservations toward matters of passion between man and woman. Indeed, they gloried in it, deeming it the natural rhythm of heaven and earth. But men with men, bleh! Then what? Ling Han pressed on deliberately. A man and another man alone in a carriage. You two pressed together. Nothing happened. Junior, how dare you? The old man snorted coldly. His voice seemed scraped from iron itself, edged with piercing sharpness and annihilating force. At once, Cho Zifei and the others bled from eyes, ears, and nose. Only Qin Lianyu stood firm, her cultivation one tier higher. Naturally, Ling Han, Zhu Xuaner, and Hu Niu remained unscathed. Ling Han and Hu Niu possessed battle prowess sufficient to withstand it, while Zhu Xuaner stood beneath Ling Han's protection. Extreme destruction, murderous king Duan Mingda! Qin Lianyu cried out at once. Gaga, little lady, I never expected you to recognize this old man. Tsk, tsk. You truly are quite pleasing to the eye. If the young sect master had not taken a fancy to you, even this old man would wish to cultivate together with you. The old man cackled strangely, his gaze sweeping over Qin Lianyue with naked desire. Extreme destruction, murderous King Duan Mingda, peak stage of the spiritual infant tier. Qin Lianyue continued gravely. Despair seized the crowd. A peak stage spiritual infant tier expert, such strength was insurmountable. Though Hu Niu was ferocious, she remained in the flower blossom tier, and her slaying of Yang Yingxi had relied upon utter surprise. Who could have foreseen that a mere 7 or 8-year-old girl could erupt with such terrifying speed? But now, Duan Mingda was clearly prepared, and his cultivation at the peak of the spiritual infant tier far surpassed Yang Yingxi, who had only just stepped into that realm. It was over. The same thought rose within every heart. Lord Duan, spare those women. Kill the rest. Hu Qingfang shouted sharply. Yes, young sect master. Duan Mingda inclined his head slightly, then cast a baleful gaze across the group as he muttered, Whom shall I kill first? Though they knew full well Duan Mingda toyed with them, Cho Zifei and the others felt icy dread seep into their bones. Their eyes darted toward one another, each secretly praying not to be chosen first for slaughter. Gaga, this old man asks you, whom should I kill first? Duan Mingda's tone dripped with menace. He delighted in such games, stirring suspicion and division, forcing men to turn upon each other before harvesting their lives, savoring their despair and regret. Cho Zifei and the others exchanged glances, then in unison pointed toward Ling Han. Him! Do not fall for his scheme, He Lanyan shouted urgently. No matter what, he will not spare us. Let us join hands and fight him. Fight what? You are not the one who will die first, Cho Zifei retorted fiercely. He Lanyan nearly spat blood from fury. Would her fate be any kinder than death? Ling Han sighed softly and said, There is a saying, if you do not seek death, you will not die. Originally, since we traveled together, I would not have minded saving you. But now, even if others spare you, I shall personally slaughter you. What arrogance! A mere spiritual ocean tier trash. Cho Zifei and the other 5 sneered in disdain. Before Ling Han, they could at least maintain this final shred of confidence. This brat merely relied upon a strange, terrifying little girl. Did he truly believe himself a spiritual infant tier powerhouse? Ha! Duan Mingda roared with laughter. Nothing pleased him more than witnessing internal strife. Lord Duan, please act swiftly, Hu Qingfang urged. Duan Mingda fixed his gaze upon Ling Han and said, Since all have chosen you first, this old man shall heed their counsel and slaughter you before the rest. If you possess the strength, then come, Ling Han replied calmly. Arrogant, so very arrogant. This old man most enjoys killing youths such as you. It is exceedingly refreshing. Duan Mingda laughed darkly. His gaze swept toward Hu Niu. Was it this little girl who killed Yang Yunxi? When first he heard the report, he deemed it absurd. Now that he saw her in person, that disbelief only deepened. Could such a thing truly be? Little girl, strike. Let this old man see your skill, he taunted. Hu Niu snorted and said, Ling Han will deal with you. Niu will not move. Duan Mingda displayed no reaction to the name Ling Han. After all, this was the Middle State. News of the divine treasure trove likely circulated only among elites and prodigies. Ha ha, is this boy truly so formidable? Ling Han smiled faintly. Whether formidable or not, you shall know once we cross hands. Arrogant, so arrogant. This old man delights in slaying men like you. Duan Mingda laughed thunderously. He extended his right hand. Vein-like patterns lit upon his skin, radiating terrifying pressure. Such was the might of a peak-stage spiritual infant-tier expert. Ling Han remained utterly fearless and said with a smile, "Are you attempting to intimidate me?" "Not intimidation. This is true pressure." Duan Mingda smiled coldly and pressed his palm through the void toward Ling Han. Hong. Endless origin power surged forth, condensing into a vast, oppressive form that bore down upon Ling Han. "Are you seeking death?" Ling Han's figure flickered, lightning bursting around him. He appeared before Duan Mingda in an instant and struck out with a punch. So swift, all were shaken to the core. This speed was nearly on par with Hunyu's. Duan Mingda had doubted Hunyu's strength, yet had remained somewhat vigilant, but toward Ling Han, he had not guarded in the slightest. A mere spiritual ocean tier, could he truly overturn heaven and earth? Impossible. Yet the moment Ling Han moved, he was like lightning incarnate. The old man had no time to defend. He could only tilt his head slightly. Pang. The force of the fist grazed his cheek, and blood seeped forth instantly. He hastily retreated, yet as he withdrew, Ling Han advanced. Like a shadow clinging to form, Ling Han remained within half a foot of him, close enough to chill his marrow. "What in the world?"